Good evening, friends. It's Dan here, and I'm here tonight just to talk to you about Sunday morning and explain to you what changes are going to happen this week. There's a couple of things that everybody needs to be aware of, whether you're going to continue to watch online or consider joining us in person, because this Sunday will be the first Sunday morning that we're offering an in-person gathering together for several months now. Really, we've done some outdoor evening gatherings over the last few weeks, but we're finally going to move back to Sunday morning with an in-person option starting this week, this Sunday, which is also Father's Day, which is fun. The big thing that everybody needs to be aware of is that 10 o'clock is the time. So we've been for the last 3 months or so of COVID-19 kind of quarantine updates. We moved from 10 to 9 because of the internet issues that were going on. I've been talking to some friends, and my understanding is that there's not a lot of issues that are happening now between 10 and 11 with internet. So hopefully we'll be just fine as far as bandwidth, but that will be a change in schedule for a lot of us all of us, because we've been used to 9 o'clock. So we're going back to 10 o'clock this week, and we'll probably stick with that unless we have major issues with internet. So we'll continue to have that option online here, but it won't be me sitting in front of the computer at my house, at my dining room table, like it's been the past few months. Instead, we'll be together, but also broadcasting out live for all of you who aren't able to or don't want to, for whatever reason, join us in person. So we're going to meet at the Outreach Center. Now, in a lot of ways, many or most of us would prefer to be back in our kind of traditional church building space, and we will be before long. Don't know exactly when, but there's a couple of reasons, just to kind of let you in on the thinking. There's a couple of reasons why we're going with the Outreach Center, at least initially. One of the biggest things is that we can easily set up chairs for social distancing. Setting up chairs for social distancing lets us do that easily. Whereas if we were back in the church here initially, we'd have to like block off pews or really kind of strongly direct people to sit at the particular places and not others. And it's a little bit confusing there with that kind of inflexible seating. So when you come in, for those who are going to come in person, when you come into the Outreach Center Sunday morning for 10 o'clock, there'll be chairs that are already set up at some spacing. Now we'll probably put them like 2 or 3 together, so that if you're a family, of course, you can sit right together. You've been together this whole time. But in between families, we're going to leave some space, and that space will kind of already be set up more or less. So you can shift chairs a little bit around, if it's just you, or if there's 4 people in your family and you want to sit in a particular place, you can kind of shift chairs around there, and that's fine. But that's what we're going to do. The other reason for the Outreach Center is right now we're still waiting for our other air conditioner to be installed, and so with only half of the building of the main sanctuary room being air conditioned, it could be a little bit hot, but that's not the biggest issue. It's that the air circulation isn't going to be great there because of that. We have half the air circulation that we normally would, and so that's just another kind of reason for going with the Outreach Center for our first attempt kind of back together. And then we'll see how it goes from there. We will be back in the church building, but we're just kind of waiting to see on that. So a couple things I want to point out when we get back together, because this is our first time back inside of a building for a gathering again in these 3 months. And so we are going to take some precautions additionally. I know that, we all have different feelings about what's necessary, what's way more than necessary, and that's going to vary very widely. Those of us who have already participated with the in-person outdoor gatherings, is my observation, that's generally the maybe the least concerned about being really diligent with these things. But as we gather back together, and more people from our congregation, more of our brothers and sisters begin to gather, some of those folks, you folks, are going to be cautious, right? And so we're going to be cautious. We're going to love and respect you by avoiding handshakes and hugs and those kind of things, right? Even though we want that, we're going to be, we're going to try to set our minds to really not be physically touching as much as possible. The other big thing, of course, that we talk about with this is masks, face masks. So we're going to encourage you to wear face masks. Okay, when we come in together, as you come into the building, please be wearing a mask. As you find yourself to your seat, we're going to prefer that you continue to wear a mask, especially when we're singing. There's been a lot of discussion and back and forth and things, but it seems like there is some significance to the idea that singing really projects out kind of any fluids, whatever, at a much greater distance. And so, although we would definitely prefer, right, to not have a mask on when we're singing, we'd ask you to keep a mask on when you're singing. As a matter of fact, that's the time that you would want to leave it on. If you can kind of use your discretion, if you're sitting there distancing and just kind of listening to something, if you need to kind of, get a little bit of air, that's okay. But I say that to say this: if you're, of the mindset that just I don't want to wear a mask, period. My recommendation would be that you continue to engage for the time being at home via the online option, just to make everybody that does gather with us feel as safe and cared for as they can be. I hope that makes sense. Again, I have my own, preferences and thoughts about these things. I will be wearing a mask when we get together. Now, when I'm way up front, and in front of the camera, I'll be taking my mask off so that people at home can see me clearly and what I'm articulating clearly. But as soon as I'm back up in closer contact with people, I'm going to have my mask right back on. So I hope that makes sense. If you have any other questions about what's going to happen on Sunday morning for those who gather, please let me know. But we want to encourage you, is when you feel safe to do so, to gather back with us. If you don't feel that like that time is yet, that's fine. Continue to engage us online. We love to have that opportunity. We're going to continue to share online. Our services are going to continue to be flexible, maybe more casual, maybe not have some of the elements that we've typically had. Okay, so it's going to be a similar type of vibe that we've had over the last couple of months for the gathering, but there's going to be a little bit less engagement. I'm not going to be watching the screen all the time for every comment that comes up as we kind of move into the in-person engagement, but we are going to try to either myself or somebody else monitor things like prayer requests. We want to continue to include all of you who are at home or at a distance. We really want to continue to include you with what we're doing by bringing the word to you, but also by hearing your prayer requests and concerns and things. So we'll continue to have some level of engagement with that, but it's not going to be exactly the same as me just sitting right in front of the computer like I am now, where we can kind of communicate back and forth. So I love you guys. I hope all that makes sense. And I'll see many of you Sunday morning at 10 o'clock in the Outreach Center. I'll see hopefully many, many more, or all of the rest of you online at 10 o'clock, wherever you're at. Okay. I love you guys. We'll see you soon. Bye.